Okay, so just I wanted to make sure everybody knows. If you want to practice more about UFT, you are more than welcome. See, you have Drive, so everyone have access to Drive, and then go here, go to Share Drive. Okay, mine. Whenever you go to there, okay, you might not have this thing like this. You might have like this. I don't know. However, you have. Okay, maybe they have updated. So this is how it might look like for you. But for me, I like this way, so I'm using this. Here you have like 24th. Okay, so I hope everyone has this Google Share Drive. Go to 24th Surface. Okay, click here automation tools. Go ahead and click the automation tool. Go to QTP. Okay, QTP, and then you have. I have also included QTP 9.1. 9.2. Okay, so you can download the latest version. You have 30 days trial version. You can use that. Okay, so in 30 days you can finish this one, and you can download right from here. Okay, so just download and install it in your system, and you can work on UFT. Okay, and I'll show you, how. So just how this screen looks like. You can go ahead and okay. So what are the main um, components for what you actually do in QTP. So now you have all the applications set. You have done manual testing. Now they have put it integration testing. Now you also completed that. Now there is an incremental testing. Okay. Now for some reason, right, developer says no. So there is some issue going on. Suddenly developer comes up, no, there is some issue. Okay. Now we have checked in the code for the 3-4 applications that is integrated already to one application. Okay. Uh, Makes sense, right? So what does it say? Like you have some demo.com, some okay, they have integrated 3 modules. Okay, so let's say they have all these 3 are there. Now they also want to add 1006 and something and 107. Now they have integrated. Now so we are not going to test again. We have already done that, right? We don't want to do that again. It makes no sense. We have completed our testing. Okay. Now what you do is like that work will be given to another team, is the regression team. They anyway have to do the testing. Why? Because lot of code changes. Plenty of code changes. One time checking code, 2 times checking code, 10 times 10 developers working on same application. Everything is going. So many things are happening. So what happens is, right, now the checked in code, now they're saying like, no, now we have updated it, go ahead and start testing. So you say, no, regression testing will be doing that. Why? Because we are already completed our manual testing. We cannot do again the same thing. We need time. There is no time. So now regression testing will prepare these test cases. Now what they will do, they will use this tool. Okay, now they will be using this tool to create one script. Okay, they create one script and they repeat the same script. Okay, so that's why they use QTP. Okay. Now, what is the process? So what we do in QTP? So we prepare. Okay, this is a. Let me tell you, right. So QTP is a record and playback. That means you record the script at once and you do playback. It's like tape recorder, right? So everyone tape recorder. You record it and then play it how many times you want, right? Modify it, play it, modify it, play it. So that's how it is. Okay. So first you do record. Okay. First you do record in QTP and show that knowledge. That's like show that to QTP that this is how you have to do it. Next time it will perform by itself. It's just like saying someone else, right? You share your knowledge, saying that okay, do this, and you keep doing that, right? So that's how the QTP is. Once you do it and record it and then playback, it will keep doing itself, and you can change the properties inside properties, whatever you want to change, and then it can perform by same thing, changing its properties. Okay, so that is. Now you do prepare and record, then you record, enhance the test. That's it. That's what it means. Enhancement, you modify it. At that time you require this. Now you don't require it. Change the property. Change the values, change the iterations. Okay, so all these things. Now, if you want, you can debug also. Okay, you can debug that test, and then you run that test and analyze the result. So that's the more important part, right? Sorry. uh, what you do is you analyze the results. Okay, then once you run the test, you analyze the result. Then if you find the defects, of course there might be defects. Script might fail. Okay, scripts might fail, then you have to report that. So this is the process, testing process in QTP. Okay, now whenever you open QTP, so this is like This used to be before. I don't think it's now anymore. This looks doesn't look like this. But see, there are so many things that are integrated, right? As I told you. Um, let's take in again. We'll go back to our favorite website, Amazon.com. Okay, let's go here now. So here you see so many things, right? So what they are using JavaScript. There is a HTML. Okay, this is all HTML, right? And they are using JavaScript. They might use also, see, this is HTML. And then you have what? So many other scripts. Okay, we don't even know what the scripts they are using. Okay, so so there are so many. Okay, they might also use Visual Basic. I don't know. Okay, then other Java. We have, okay, there's SAP, Oracle. So these things might be used. See, in one website you are using these many things, right? And even after that there are two errors. See that, two errors. I don't know how they are handling that. Okay, so there are like so many things. Okay, so now since even after that, right, so you have like options. You want ActiveX because okay, that again, that script might have ActiveX also. So do you want to run this on the website? Do you want to, so that is checkboxing. That means, see, QTP doesn't understand everything, right? One thing you have, these are the separate modules like add-ins. Add-ins means separate feature. So different feature you want to plug in, like, you want to include even this too, because it might contain ActiveX, it might contain Visual Basic, it might contain web. Okay, so these are all, okay, add-ins. So when you check that checkbox, then it will include it. Otherwise, it doesn't record that session. If it has a without add-in, then doesn't record that session. Okay, so then you have okay, so that's why this add-ins. This is the add-in manager. Okay, so that's what it says, right? Add-in manager, where you can add in new feature if you want to. Suppose that application has ActiveX and, I mean, whatever other features, Java or Siebel, Oracle, so on. Okay. Now, next we'll go to record and run mode. So how many ways you can record? Okay. So there are three ways you can record. So that is normal recording, analog recording, and low level recording. Okay. In the normal recording, what you do is, okay, in normal recording, it's a, I mean, that's a normal recording, like, everything, whatever your clicks, okay, left click buttons, whatever left click, whatever you click on buttons, right? So let's take an example. So these buttons, like enter GM online, okay, that's fine, and URLs, these buttons, okay, and this check, this digit box, okay, whenever you're, these are like normal recordings, okay. Then you have like analog recording. Analog recording is like something around, like, whenever you're trying to tab buttons, like sometimes you want to tab, right? These tabs that getting highlighted and you want to change those things. So that is that you can do it in analog recording. Again, you have low level recording. Low level recordings are like, whenever if you have that right click mouse buttons, let's say, see, this thing is coming, right? When you click on the right, see, this thing is different. Now this is different, okay. And now this, this box is different. This text information is different. So so I mean, okay, that is not required here. That's just for an example. What can be a low recording? So right click buttons. Okay, right click buttons is a low level. And then you have run modes. How many times you can run? Two times. Normal run, fast run. Okay. Okay. So whenever you go into, so whenever you can write, these are so many. Okay, let me explain this. Okay, let's take a screenshot. Okay. Okay. So whenever you open, right, so these are some buttons. Okay. So there is a like title bar. Okay. So let me show you. So this is called title bar. Okay. So this is all. I mean, this is like title where you have recording and quick test. So that's basically title bar where you are have the information in that. Then you have menu bar. Okay. So everybody knows what is menu bar, right? Okay. So menu bar where you have all the information like file, edit, view, insert, text, test, step, all that functions. That's called menu bar. Then you have like file toolbar. So this is called file toolbar. Okay. I hope everyone can see this, right? Okay. So this is the like file toolbar. This is like shortcuts. Okay, shortcut for this. So you have new. If you want to open a new script, then you click on that. Okay, new script shows up. And if you have created new script and you can want to open that script, this is like open. Okay, so this is this floppy icon is like save. Okay, and then you have like print option, fine. And this is some grids. Okay, two grids. And if you want to view the code, this is one. Okay, so let's see these three important things. For this is quality center connection. Okay, so yeah, and that time there is quality center, right? Not HPALM. So whenever you have this icon shows, right? This so many things, so many people work on this one, right? So what happens, right? Somebody prepares the script. So there is the automation architect. Okay, then you have automation developer. Okay, QA automation developer. And you might, and then someone will be like automation tester, and then someone will be automation analyst. So those kind of things, right? So let's say automation QA automation architect prepare those scripts. Okay, all heavy heavy high level scripts. So that thing, right? But at the end of the day, we are the one who should be testing, right? Automation script. So what they do is like they'll put in QC, okay? QC, where you have QC or Ali or whatever. They have their options, where you can upload that scripts and store that scripts into that particular location or folder, any folder, okay? Now, whenever you connect that, okay, whenever you want to connect it, you can pull out the scripts from that location and enter that script into this. So that's easy. You don't have to design everything by yourself. Someone will do that. Okay, you need to run that. So you need to pull out the scripts and use it. So that's the reason you use it in your and also execute the test cases and pass that place. So that's the reason that is quality center connection. We use this quality center connection. And then you have this object. What is that? Oh, object repository. Okay, so that is called object repository. So object repository is where you store the store the objects. So I'll briefly I'll be explaining what are the objects and what you do with that. Okay, that is object repository where you because the QTP only understands anything QTP can understand is objects through objects, right? So that is you want to store any information about the object in it. Then you have this man with the hat. Can you see that? This guy, man with the hat. That guy is called object spy. So whenever um, whenever you trying to see everything is an object. Okay. No. So let's take an example. Okay. So let's say this is an application. So can anyone tell me, what is an object here in this application, complete application? Does anyone know which and what is an object in this in a web application? Right. So yeah, so that's right. Everything is an object. So this browser itself is a parent object, right? This browser itself is an object, and then you have this picture. Of course, that's also an object. Okay, that's also showing up here. So that's an object. And then buttons. Okay, this buttons is an object. So in that, so normally an object. So what is an object? Object is like anything which contains its properties and values. Okay, so only that QTP can recognize an object using its properties and its values. Okay, what it has some properties. What are its properties? Let's take an example of this button. So let's say enter GMO online. So can you see that that button has its own property and its own values? Let's say what is the property? Let's say height. It has height, right? That button has some height, and then it has length. Okay, it has length and height. So that's two properties, right? One property is length. What the height? I don't know. Like 5 centimeters. Let's take an example, and it has height of 1 centimeter, less than 1 centimeter. Okay, so that is that's a like property. What is the property? Length. What is the value of that property? 5 centimeters. Then what is the property? Height. What is the value for the property? Okay, one or less than 1 centimeter. Then you have like one more thing, title of this button. What is the property? Title. What is the value for that? Enter GMO online. So these are like properties. So in QTP, anytime QTP can only be identified through its properties and its values. Okay, so these are so many properties. I only remember three. Okay, height, length, title. There is like flag. HTML tag, and so on and so forth. There's so many things. Okay, so these all are like called object. So what is an object? Object contains anything which has properties and its values. So everything has properties and values, right? So how do you find out using object spy? So this guy, right? This guy, whenever click. So let's say you want to know the property of a button. You click that object spy button. Click here. It shows what are the properties. It says like x-axis, y-axis, HTML tag, and then you have like title, and so on. So they are like each object has like 30 to 40 properties and values. Okay, some of the values of that property will be null. Okay, but most of them will be having, some of them will be having values. Okay, so that's how you can recognize. So that's how the QTP also recognizes an object, because you don't know, because see these are like twin. Again they have twin button, right? So see this has the same length and height with this same button again about this GMO. Only the difference is the title. The title is different. Here title is enter GMO online about the So that's how it becomes hard for QTP to recognize a button if it is enter GMO online about the GMO, because both three buttons are looks like same. So which button to click? You don't know, right? So that's what you need to apply more properties and values whenever you are trying to uh, if you want to click on that button, then you need to put all the what are the values and what are the properties it has, and normally used for the descriptive programming. Otherwise in record and playback it already captures the properties and values, so no big deal. But descriptive programming you have to specify everything there, or else QTP gets confused and don't know which button to click. Okay, that is objects repository, where all the all the properties and its values are stored into that object repository. So repository is like a database, right? It's okay, not exactly a database, but internal for the QTP. Okay, for internally it is for QTP. It stores that information for the objects and values inside the QTP folder itself. Okay. Now you have the next one, debug toolbar. Okay, so now this debug toolbar, right? You have all the options. So now stop, and then when you want to debug, okay, in particular line or particular line of code there will be, and you can go to that line and use that one. So that is the options for this. Okay, wherever you want to execute that so this button actually. whenever you are trying to execute it, go to that line and try to execute it, and then you can debug that code. Okay, normally to debug that code. Then you have testing toolbar. Okay, this is testing toolbar. What options you have in this? You have record, so this is the main thing we will be using, right? Record. And then once the record is done, you stop it. Okay, this is where you want to stop it. Okay, and then run. You want to run it. Okay, that's the button we'll be using. Then you have these two things, right? This is action. Create a new action. So we have many types of action, right? Reusable action. So there are like external action, internal action. Then we have reusable action, non-reusable action. So the reason, right? What is this? It's a like it's just a, like a workspace. Workspace. You want to write something. It's like it's like a book, right? Whenever you want to write something, you need a new paper. Okay. So the same way here is action. You want creating a new workspace kind of. Okay. But that workspace, how do you want to do that? You want to put it reusable, or you just write and just put it to your desktop and store into yourself, or that is non-reusable. And reusable in sense, if you want to use as a library function, that means you put into the library, and recall it whenever you require in the script. So that's what the use, that's what the use of that action is. You want to use it for future. You don't want to use it. You're doing with the teams, so you want to use that action. So that's what it is. Okay, so that's an action. And then you have like split action, which is you know you can also split, which is actually gray out. Okay, this is split action where you can split an action. Then you have these two buttons. Okay, that's called start transaction time and end transaction time. Let's say you want to view some of these. um, so you are actually trying to find out, you are actually trying to see the granularity between an application, like you have two pages. Let's say you have two pages, right? You want to see how much the time taken to move that page, or there's so many factors. What is the time taken to move that page, how that application is behaving in that page. So you are start transaction time and end transaction time. That means you are actually checking in with this 2 point of time in this one, from start to end. You're trying to see, highlight that thing and want to see what it's trying to do. So it's like kind of highlighting, you want to see that one and look into it, what it's trying to do. So that's what you use for start transaction time and end transaction time. Okay, so now, so you have this one. Okay, this is log regarding and slow level recording. Okay, and then you have this is what action toolbar. So this is the action toolbar. Of course, in this you have actions. You want to use the, whenever you fit their library files, you want to take out from that, or you want to use the new action, or you want to create a new action, you can do that. Okay, here you have list of various options to do that. And then you have, this is called test pane. Okay, so this is called test pane, where you have like so there are like two views here, keyword view and expert view. So normally in expert view you write the code, okay, or the code is generated in the expert view. All the code which is is generated in the expert view, where you can see that code. In the keyword view, you only you're actually viewing that objects. Here you have few objects, and what are its operation, values, and documentation. What are the information about that object? But you normally you can do either way. Okay, if you are pro in QTP, you can either edit here itself in the keyword view, or if you want to more of most of people would go to expert view and edit their debug their code. So normally this. And then you have, this is called data table. Okay, this is like Excel. It's like Excel, which is, so this is QTP Excel, not Microsoft Excel. This is QTP Excel, which is integrated inside the QTP itself. Nothing to do with Excel. Okay, so this is only for use for the purpose for the QTP itself. Whenever you are trying to parameterize any values, you use this Excel. Okay, and then you have this screen which is called active screen, where you can see that what is happening whenever you are running the test, what's happening and what's going on. So this is like different buttons and different functionality features in QTP. Okay, so let's go to theoretical view. So those are many various buttons, but there are more functionalities other than that. What I have told is only what you see, but there are so many things in edit and view, insert. There are so many other things, right? You can only see once you open that your QTP and look into it and see how is it, what are the various things you can perform there. And then you can create a test. Okay, let's now talk about the object repository. So this is how it looks like. Okay, so you have parent object, and then you have child object. So this is parent. See over here, you can see, right? Maybe it's not clear. It will be much more specific, right? Okay, so here you have. Okay, so this is parent object. Welcome Mercury. Can you see that? See, this welcome Mercury is a parent object. So whenever you open a browser, right? Demo dot. So this browser is a parent object, and other than that, see, inside it is like welcome Mercury. That is an child object for this welcome Mercury. So all the objects are stored in the order. Okay, so whatever it's, and then it has its own. These three are like functional buttons. Okay, functional, no, not exactly buttons. Field values. Okay, it can be fields. Username, password, sign in. These are field values. Okay, then you have this other related to is like another object. So these are all objects. Okay, so each can be anything. It can be any object. It can be these buttons, this image. Okay, then it has so many other objects here, 3 4 5 6 objects. Then for the 6 objects they have text, this edit box. Okay, this digit box. Okay, and then two more buttons. So these are so many other objects. So all these objects. Now it has its property. So as I said, it has property and its value. So what are the properties? So it can be a type, that is text, of course, and then it has name, username, HTML tag, input. Okay, and then this is like this is how object repository handles its values. Okay, then you have, so using object repository you can identify an object. So that means it shows like what object is you are referring to and the properties and values of that object. Then you have so this is object spy, which that man with the hat guy, you know. Just whenever you click this, okay, click on that man with the hat, this dialog box opens, and when you click on that, oops, this doesn't show that. So you can view that objects and properties, properties and values here in the in this modules, properties and its values it will show. Okay, so then you have. So how does, so as I said, like QTP only recognizes through objects. So how does QTP recognizes those objects? So so there are like three default properties of an, like mandatory properties, assistive properties, and ordinal identifier. Okay, so because of those three, QTP recognizes the objects. And then you have synchronization. So synchronization is like something which you need to synchronize. Okay, so one good example for the synchronization is, let's take you're trying to record something. Okay, you're trying to record something, and whenever you're trying to record, you did so fast, and QTP understood that, okay, everything is done. But now the server is slow. Server, for some reason it becomes slow, and the website to move to one, so when one URL to another URL, okay, it gets navigated, right? One website is going to the next website. Now it's taking time. It's taking, like, let's say some, I don't know, 5 to 6 times, because 5 to 6 seconds now, because the server has been slow. Okay, server has become slow, but it's taking some time to move. Now QTP don't know that. Suddenly what happens? Throws an error. No, website not reachable, and throws an error, and whole script fails. The script gets failed, and test results got failed, and everything gets failed. But there is no reason. Again, that website is working fine. Why it got failed? So now you need synchronization. That means QTP doesn't know that it takes some time because of the server. You don't know. So that's how you need the synchronization. So what you do, right? You have some time like called wait. Wait in bracket 10. That means, let's say, okay, it's taking 5 seconds. Let's wait for 10 seconds. Okay, now when QTP can wait. Okay, so now let's you make you understand the QTP that no, don't execute right away. Wait for time. So that's wait. That is code. Okay, that's a piece of code. Okay, wait in bracket 10. That means you want to wait to navigate it. So that's you need a synchronization, because QTP don't know to wait. You need to tell. Okay, so that's how you need a synchronization. So this is what example they have given how to synchronize. So when you have this, you can go to insert step synchronization point and add exist and wait statement. Here, if you want to do this in expert view, you can just write this code, whatever the code is. Okay, they have given about Mercury, demo application, so they can use that one. They had like own client application, so you can this QTP you can use both client application as well as web application. Okay, so this is more of for a client application, and then you have dialog box, and you put this code as wait. So this is how you synchronize it. That means suddenly there is a pop-up. Okay, there is a pop-up button. So if there is a pop-up, then you are saying QTP to wait. Don't execute it right away because it takes time, or else the script might fail. Okay, that's the synchronization. And then you have checkpoints. So checkpoints. So checkpoint is normally you want to actually compare to the what the actual value is and what is it showing. Okay, what is showing after the result and what are the value for it. So how can you do? How can you achieve that? You can go in the insert checkpoint, and then standard checkpoint from the. So you have various checkpoints here. So there are like 8 checkpoints. The standard checkpoint. If you don't know what checkpoint is, you can go ahead and put a standard checkpoint. So name itself, right? Checkpoint. You are checking it. You're trying to verify. You know what is what the application is. Now you want to verify that. How does it showing up? Is that showing some bugs? Because after running this many scripts and after entering, because right, some values you entered, sometimes the application behaves some odd. After entering some values, suddenly it changes to another. So that's what you want to check. After entering something, doesn't get screw up. The code doesn't get screw up. That's why use the checkpoints. So whenever you don't know anything, the standard. That means standard. Normally text, and not exactly image, but you can also use that image. So that's called standard checkpoint. Image checkpoint. Whenever you're trying to use the images, or just like this, right? You have this image, so you can use the image checkpoint for this. Then you have like table checkpoint. Table checkpoint, whenever you are trying to know there are tables in the database and you want to validate those tables. Let's say 10 columns. You have like 10 rows. Let's say you have 10 rows and 10 columns, and you want to validate that. You want to put a checkpoint. That's a table checkpoint. Then you have page checkpoint. Page checkpoint is like the whole page. You want to validate the whole page. Then you put the page checkpoint. Then text checkpoint. So text checkpoint is similar to standard checkpoint. If this is more as text. Like let's say example GMO online. This is a text, right? Welcome to. So let's say this is red color, is showing in the green color. We want to validate that. So is it why it's green? No, it should be red. So we want to validate that. So that is, text. Then you have that text area checkpoint. So you want to also see that area to that, right? How much the area for this is for this text. Okay, that's why I select text area checkpoint. Then you have bitmap checkpoint is similar to image checkpoint. If you have any images which is bitmap, okay, then you can checkpoint. And then you have database checkpoint. Database you want to see the, so how does it looks like? Okay, so we should one of those, right? Oops, that's not here. So when you want to see the checkpoints, right, it shows in the, whenever you're running that after inserting the checkpoint, this is how it looks like. This highlighted color in the active screen. So I hope everyone can see this active screen, right? The purple color, you can see that Mercury upon. So that is text checkpoint. So whenever you're running it, it highlights in that area, and you can see that, oh, okay, so now it's looking that way. So that is like checkpoint. So it's not like a rocket science, it's just to view that one. Okay, just you want to view that, and that's why you're using checkpoint, that's it. And this is, so this is how you can, insert a checkpoint from an active screen. Okay, so this is when you have, in the keyboard view, if you are working on a keyboard view, you want to, no, I'm sorry, whenever you have this application, right, you can right click on that and enter insert checkpoint. And then you can, insert a checkpoint. Then you have regular expressions. So let's work on the parameterization. So what are the parameters? So can anyone tell like what are the like actually parameters? Okay. So parameter is like to for a layman language, right? It's a variable. That means it varies. It varies. Okay. Sometimes value was 1, now its value is 2. So you want to increase that value. So you want to keep on increasing 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So that's what you use parameters. If you want to see this, so these are useful when you want to run it in a iteration. Iteration, right? Loop. You want to run it loop, adding one value, two value, again run it, third value, run it, fourth value, run it, fifth value. So it's so on. So that's what is useful. So that's why you use parameters. Parameters is like variable. So it's like x, just put in x, and x is equal to 1, x is equal to 2, so on. What is the value? Where from it's picking up from some data table or some, some data sheet or some Excel or something. So that's like x is a parameter. So that's how. So how do you use parameterization in this? Let's say, okay, you have this, in the keyword view, you have this, fly from, okay, and the value for that object, so object is fly from and the value is London. So that means it's going from London to Paris. Okay, so we know that. Okay, so it's going, that flight is going from London to Paris. And now you also want to test that, from not even London to Paris, we also want Paris to London, and New York, and so on, whatever. So but since only it's London, how do we know that? So what we'll do is click that button and change it to some value item. Let's put an, instead of London, we put some item. So what we are trying to do, we are trying to parameterize that object, the value of an object, not the object, the value of an object, and putting that as an item instead of London. So London is a value, okay, and put as an item. And then what you do is right click that, and you get information like about, you want to put constant or parameter, you put the parameter, and then you have data table. So data table I shown you, right? That's an Excel sheet which is integrated into the QTP. So that's now you could pick up those value from there. And then you want is a global sheet or you want is current sheet. Okay. And then you put as a global sheet, and you put that parameter is taken from data table. What is the name of the parameter? P underscore item. Okay, whatever you can put. You can put item, you can put whatever you want to, like you will put that one and click OK. Now you put that, you change the the value from London to item, and where does it should pick up from the global table, as we put into that configuration option. And now what does it do, right? Now it runs in the iterations. One time when it runs, it takes London to Paris. Okay. Second time it takes Paris to London. So we have parameterized two values, not one. Okay. So this from and to. Okay. And then you said, like, we will pick up from the data sheet, which is in the global, and we have given four parameters. What are they? Like London, Paris, Denver, Paris. Okay. Now we are trying to see that application, that if we are changing the destination, source and destination, does this application behave properly? That application is running appropriately, or else if it gets failed, then it's a defect. Okay, that's what. So what are you trying to achieve by using this parameterization? We are trying to see, even after running the iterations, even that customers are logging into, adding the flight so many times, the test doesn't fail. That's what we want, right? So that's the reason, you use after, see, this thing cannot be done manually. The reason, right? So you can test only once and twice. Suppose you need 20, let's say 30, no, 30 values to be checked. See, here's the thing, right? Let's say we are verifying order quantity 1. Okay, 1 is going through. We don't know. There might be a bug in some, 699. We don't know. There might be a bug. See, we cannot check each and every, right? 1, 2. Again, you have to validate for the 3. We cannot prepare test cases for all this. It's tedious, right? Again, we need to go 4. How can we do that? We have no time for this. We do not waste so much time on this and prepare test cases, execute. So that's the reason you need this parameterization. So what you do, just prepare 4 and it automatically runs. The QTP takes that values from this sheet and runs it. Okay, so that's what the use of parameterization. You can run any values and just keep that QTP, and it will run automatically. Next day you come up and see 100. You want to run that 100 values, just put it that 100, and you can do your own work, or just put it like that. By tomorrow we'll show you the values and results. Okay, so that's what it is used to, parameterization. And then you have these results. Okay, once you have run it, now it shows the results, and the results are stored in there. So there are like framework, right? So I didn't explain the framework. Let's see that one. Okay. So you are now okay. You can also do a parameter as a checkpoint. You can parameterize that too. Okay. So all this information, right? Whenever you are trying to run this test case, okay, test script. Let's be specific on this. Okay, test script. So there is a test script. There is a test case. Now, when I am saying test case, that means you are writing the test case. When I am saying test script, that means it's a QTP script or Selenium script or any script. Okay, script means it normally contains the code. Test cases is our language. Okay, it's like QA that you'll be writing and executing. So normally people don't know, right? So they might say for test script with test cases and test cases with test script. Okay, you don't have to correct anyone. But if you are specific and if you know the differences, that more than enough. Okay, so here I am using test scripts. Why? Because there are scripts that are generated from the QTP. Let's say there are scripts that is generated, right? So you need to put in some place. Where do you put? So there is a framework. So there is a like framework. See, I'll be explaining in the layman language. Framework is much more detailed and much more complex. Okay, so everyone says, oh no, what is framework? No? So there's a lot of theory behind the framework. So to be more be simplicity, so I'll be simple. So there's like structure, it's like the way that organized, there's a structure of directories. Like let's say you have QTP scripts, you have test results, you have test cases, and then you have like test results and stored results, all things, everything, so many things. And again, all the library files, okay, library files, and those so many things coming out from so many places. So you want to store it someplace, right? Let's say you have network directory, and there are like directories, okay, so like folders, okay, so every folder has its own name, like test results, test cases, like test scripts, then you have like library functions, library calls, all those things. So those directories are named with these things, okay. So that is called framework, okay. So there are so many keyword driven framework, then hybrid framework, okay. So those are like framework, the way the things are organized into. So this is not exactly the the meaning of that framework, but to be to be more simple side. Don't want to go much more complex, because there is like a lot of theory in that framework and a lot of things to understand it. But to be simple, it's like structure, how the structure is designed. Okay. So then you have only 9 minutes. So here I said, like, so if there are multiple actions, so you can create any number of actions. Okay. So as I said, like action is like a spreadsheet, no, workspace, sorry. So workspace, how do you want to divide your workspace? So there are, two types of actions. There is regular action and reusable action. Regular, which, you cannot use. So once it is done, that means you can store in your desktop and that's it. Reusable means it's kind of library file. You want to use it and put it into some network file or some drive, okay, online drive, and you can reuse it. See, normally it's a library file, and if you want to call some functions into it, just put it that and pull that into your script. And then you have like local and external. Reusable functions has like locally and externally. Locally means it's related to you and your network, and external means it's also related to external networks. Okay. So now he has shown you, right, how do you call a new function. You can click on that button, action button, and you can put it the information here, like what you have to do, and then new action will get added. And this is like I told you, like parameterization. So here is like what you will be doing with the various actions. There are various actions. What will you do? Call to new action, call to copy. So these are like features in the actions. So whenever if you are using reusable, right, you want to call and just put that call option, and you can call that action wherever is there in the library file. So this is how it's showing you how to use that. It's all about the action. And then you have like recovery scenarios. So let's say suddenly you're running test cases. Okay, I'm sorry. Suddenly you're running those test scripts, right? When you're running those scripts, okay. Now something happened. Something happened and got crashed. Now QTP have to recover from that. No, you now it get crashed. Now you cannot. You're running 40 hours scripts, and it suddenly got crashed, and you don't want to waste 40 hours of time got waste for nothing. You don't want to happen that way, right? So what you want is the recovery scenario. So there are like scenarios where you can recover. So if there is like trigger event, if you are recovering operation, post recovery run options. So what you do is to recover from an unexpected events, okay, that occur in testing. So let's say trigger, let's say trigger event. Okay. So what is the trigger event? So what happened? So what you need to do is, if see this thing, if you know already that it will get crashed, so you are actually putting that recovery scenario. Otherwise, not required. Okay. So this is what happens, like pop-up window. Suddenly pop-up window comes up and QTP got crashed. No, you don't know what to do. So what you have to do in that, when when the pop-up window that shows QTP, okay, now it's pop-up window, okay, now QTP knows, so it don't get crashed. So just what, like saying QTP that don't get crashed, there will be pop-up window. So you need to know that. So that's what you are trying to tell the QTP. Okay. So there are like three types: trigger event, recovery operation, post recovery run option. Here they have given options: pop-up window and test run error. Something happened. There is a run error in the test and got crashed. So now you tell the QTP, no, don't get crashed. There is some error. Okay, just don't run that. And no, you can run other than this. Okay, we'll take care of this. So some small code, we change the code and run that separately. No issues. So you are telling the QTP, no, don't get crashed. Okay. So and then you have application crash. So that is scenario, recovery scenario. Then you have see, this thing is important only when you know that you get crashed. How do we know that that we get crashed or not? So, but it's just safe side. You're trying to put this application has these issues. So we want to see that don't affect that QTP. Okay, that's why you use. And then you have like creating test without object repository. So every time we create a test with an object repository, right? Because all the information of the objects and properties and values are stored in the object repository. This is more of a descriptive programming. In this descriptive programming, right? You don't you don't use any of the objects and object properties and its values stored in the database. No, I mean stored in the object repository. No, we don't do that. We actually are specifying the same objects and its properties in the code itself. We are actually giving in the code itself. We are not storing anywhere. See, in that code was simple. There's nothing. Here this code is complex because see, you are giving everything here. Dialog, name. See, name is a property, login is value. Again, you have giving binary. Okay, this is a property, and agent name is a value. Dot set in. So it's like that. You're trying to give object properties and its values in the code itself. So that is called descriptive programming. And then you are like you are actually trying all this. You're actually putting the VB scripting. So this is more of a VB scripting. Okay, where you actually put that properties and its values here. And then you can enhance test case with descriptive programming. Of course, you can enhance it. Whatever is required, you can edit it. If you don't require, you remove that. So you are trying to put that values. And then you have so this is like so they have given one example for the descriptive programming. Okay, so that means see, this is a client application where window error. So there is an error pop up. Okay, window button is suddenly pop up. Where text you have okay. Okay, this you are giving the property of an here a property. This is a property and its value here you're giving. This is again property and you and the dot click means click it on it. It's like you click on mouse on the browser, right? Just like click here. So that's why you are telling that QTP to dot click. Dot click means to click. So and then you are putting this values, set my description, create. Again you are giving here property and its value is okay. Again description. So this is like an example for an descriptive programming. Okay, then let's see. So you can go through these slides. Okay, so already told you. Yeah, this is all about automation. So I just wanted to give some introduction. Okay. So you can go through these slides. Okay, same thing what I've explained. These two slides they're in it's there in Google Drive. Okay. No, this is nothing to do with the rally. Since this okay, I have not seen personally, working that QTP and using the rally. But of course, you can use rally to just to pull out the test scripts. Otherwise, for test cases and all those stuff, of course you could write because see, rally is a test management tool. QTP is automation tool. Okay. So yeah, you can do that. Now you have all the access to the Google Drive, so you can go ahead and download it and just go through that QTP. So you will be familiar, like how to use that. and you can work on that. So I've told you most of things. Right? So yeah, you can go through this. Okay, this was just an introduction about QTP. You know, there's nothing because there's so much of QTP is very vast. Okay, that itself is an ocean. Okay, so okay, so any questions? Any questions, concerns? So if everyone, so can I close this class today? So if everyone are good. Okay. So if no one has questions, so I'll be stopping this class today. Tomorrow I'll take introduction on load runner, so you get to have some idea. Okay. Thank you very much.